It's always hard giving something a second chance. If you've been let down in the past or had a negative experience, then it's always going to be difficult to come back. A real second chance means forgetting those lousy memories and not allowing them to cloud your judgment. That's what I wanted to do for the church on Ruby Road. I wanted to assess it free of the opinions that I had of the show that came before it. And I think I achieved that. I really enjoyed the church on Ruby Road. First of all, it was just nice to have a Christmas special again. They were such an important staple of the late noughties, early tens. Is that what they're called? The tens? The 2010s? And their decline pretty much came hand in hand with the decline of the show, in my opinion. The worse the Christmas specials became was the worse the TV series kind of started to get, in my humble opinion. We haven't seen an actor's full episode debut be a Christmas special since David Tennant in 2006 and The Christmas Invasion as well. So there was a lot going on, a lot of big shoes to fill for the church on Ruby Road, I think. I think it's been 6 years or so since there's been a Christmas special. And considering David Tennant was the last time that there was a Christmas special first actor debut as the Doctor, there was a lot riding on the church on Ruby Road here. The budget increase definitely made a big difference to me. If Disney was useful for anything, it was that. And that's the only credit I'll ever give Disney. Everything was just so much higher quality, from the sets to the effects to the camera work to the cinematography. It's nice to see a show that used to be given such a meager budget finally get the dues that it deserves in terms of monetary assistance. But there were a couple of things that I didn't like, so we'll get those out of the way first, because I do have mainly positive opinions on the Church of Ruby Road, so we'll get the few problems I had out of the road first, and we can just focus on the positives after that. While I loved the Goblin song, and I thought it was hilarious, I know some people didn't like it. I did. I really liked the Goblin song, although I didn't think it would become Christmas #1. Kind of glad it didn't, because that would have been a bit a bit ridiculous in my opinion, but I loved it in the context of the show. The Christmas specials always had a song of some sort. Not necessarily sung by the characters in the program. For example, Song for 10 and Love Don't Roam were sung like in the background kind of, or on a CD player, or by a live band, as was The Stowaway in the Titanic episode. And then Silence Is All We Hear was sung by Abigail in the Christmas Carol episode. There was usually a Christmas song with the Christmas episodes, and it was nice to see that tradition come back, because that was a really nice kind of feature of Christmas episodes of Doctor Who. The only problem I would say I had was when the Doctor and Ruby joined in, because I find when characters who don't really sing randomly, spontaneously, just out of nowhere burst into song, and they're really good at it, and it's not like they're kind of staggering through it or struggling as if singing is a really easy thing to pick up, it's a bit cringy. I think it's cringy when anyone kind of just bursts into song and they're good at it. It just reminds you of school when there was that one person who knew they could sing and they were always finding an opportunity to kind of wedge in that they could sing. It felt a bit like that. Like an OC in a fan fiction randomly bursting into song, and of course they're great and everyone thinks they're amazing. But it wasn't that bad. All these issues I have weren't so bad that they negated from my viewing experience. I think that's very important to put across now. I didn't like that they sung. I thought it was weird that the Doctor and Ruby sung. I preferred it when it was just the Goblins. The Goblins were killing it. The Goblins were great. And I'm not saying that Ncuti Gatwa or Millie Gibson were bad at their performances, but I think it would have been funnier if the Doctor and Ruby had been bad at singing. I think that would have added a funny touch to the episode, whereas whenever they're good at singing, it's just kind of like, okay. In my opinion, I've seen people on TikTok say that they killed it and they loved it, and that's perfectly fine. This is just my opinion, and my opinion just pretty much means nothing except for to me, maybe to you guys. To me, it was just a bit cringy. That's what I'm trying to say. Ruby also had her back turned on the baby multiple times when they were standing on that conveyor belt. I'm sorry, the Goblins could have reached out and grabbed the baby at any time. I don't know why they didn't. Maybe they weren't allowed to. I don't know. Are they that distracted by music? it just, that bit, that the small tiny detail was something I noticed. I said to my mum, she's like, her back's turned on the baby, she's not keeping an eye on it, anyone could just snatch it right there. But that's neither here nor there, that's just a small gripe. And I also found how the doctor stopped them eating baby Ruby at the end rather anticlimactic. Only a bit though, because I really like that they set up the gloves near the start. You know what they say, if you show a pair of gloves in the first half of an episode, they must be used by the second half of the episode, or you haven't written it properly. But I really appreciated that that was set up from the start and it pays off in the second half. I did appreciate that. I just thought the kind of scene was a bit anticlimactic. I'm not sure, something just felt like it was missing from that ending. But that's literally all the problems I had with the episode. That's all I had. So we're going to get into the positives now, because it's really exciting for me to be able to talk about positive things to do with Doctor Who for once. I really have a good feeling about where we're going from here. I love Ruby and the Doctor's dynamic already. I'm hoping, considering Millie Gibson's age, that there isn't going to be a romance dynamic between them, because I don't like the romance dynamic. I've never bought into the romance dynamic, and I've never really had a companion come into it, or any character come into it, where I kind of buy the romance between the Doctor and that character. Never have, doubt I ever will. But definitely, considering Millie Gibson is only 18, I think it would be weird for them to write a romance like storyline between her and Shooty, even though she is legal age. Like, it's like just legal, so it's just kind of like, can we not just have another Dr. Donna friendship dynamic? That would be really cool, and it seems like we're going that way. Just from the brief scenes that we've seen, I do think that we are going to get a nice little kind of like bickering mates kind of dynamic, and I'm really looking forward to that. I have heard some rumours about something that might happen with Ruby Sunday's boyfriend in the future, but considering the fact that Ruby Sunday's boyfriend hasn't even been referenced or mentioned, unless that guy they were talking about in the taxi was her boyfriend, I don't know. Considering that he hasn't even really been properly brought up, I'm not really going to give those rumours any credence until we have further information. Although the rumours and the leaks so far have been pretty accurate, but I'm not going to discuss it because the character hasn't even come up yet. He hasn't even appeared like on screen yet, so there's no point discussing something that hasn't even cropped up yet. So we'll just have to see how that pans out. The only thing that I would say was that it would have been nice to have an alien companion, or a companion from the past or the future for once. They used to do that quite a bit in the classic era, and it's not really something that's come along in the modern era yet. But, you know, we don't know everything about Ruby's real mother yet, so maybe she is an alien, maybe she is from the past, or she is from the future, who knows. Because I think that would add a really interesting dynamic to the Doctor companion dynamic if they were an alien, or they had different traditions in the future or the past, and they didn't understand certain things because they were from the future or the past, or they were smarter because they were from the future, because Zoe in the second Doctor's era was really intelligent because she was from the future. And she knew a lot more than Jamie, who was also travelling with them, who was from the past, the Highlands in Scotland. That made their dynamic so interesting, and that's why I enjoy the second Doctor, Jamie and Zoe, so well. And it's something that hasn't really been explored in the modern era yet, and I think they're really missing a trick not at least giving that a go. I'm kind of confused as why Ruby's mother is dressed like 13, like Jodie's Doctor. I'm really hoping that isn't going to be a telltale sign of something, because I'm really sick of them trying to make mental gymnastics of, oh, time's been messed up, so this has happened, and everything's all complicated, and she might be her mother or whatever. Like, can't we just get it back to bare bones kind of adventures and stop with the kind of overarching tangling up of time and stuff like that? Like, I just want some fun adventures with a bit of drama and less complication, because I think that's the problem. I think that was the problem in Stephen Moffat's era. There was too much complication going on, and too much, like, then because of the complication, plot holes would grow, and it doesn't work, in my opinion. I prefer when there's less of that complexity. I don't mean that it has to be, like, simple, like Baby Channel simple. I just mean that less of the kind of tangling everything up to the point where it's all in knots. And I think if they try to say that 13 is Ruby's mother, that would really, really complicate things. So I'm hoping it's just a coincidence, or they're maybe trying to, like, trick us or divert our attention or something. I don't know. I just hope that she's not her mother, because that's just weird. All the actors on the show did a fantastic job. The dialogue has improved massively, leaps and bounds, since the Star Beast. One of the only problems I had was, why the hell would a policeman bring an engagement ring with him on the beat? Am I missing something? It just seemed like a kind of a forced interaction for it to be like, oh, the Doctor knows everything. Look, the Sonic, it was able to detect the engagement ring. And it was just kind of like, would he not be worried about it getting lost? Like, what if he got attacked when he was, like, on his right? Like, would he not be worried about the engagement ring, like, him losing it? But, like, I've never been in love or wanting to get engaged to someone, so maybe I'm missing something. I just thought that didn't make sense, but, like, that's a tiny gripe to have with dialogue, so that's only a teeny tiny gripe to have, really. Like, it didn't really take away from anything. Like, the dialogue was much better than where we started at the Star Beast. Much, much better. Much more believable and natural as well, and less kind of jilted and preachy and confusing, you know. Here's a big question. Did it feel like the good old days of Doctor Who? No, it didn't. But I think it would have been rather naive of me to believe that it would have. Everything has changed so much since Doctor Who came back in 2005. I was 6 when Doctor Who came back in 2005. I'm 20 years older than I was when the show came back. The earth, the world, everything, politics, media, the environment, everything has progressed 20 years since Doctor Who returned to our screens in 2005. And to expect a feeling I got in 2005 when I was 6 in 2023 when I'm 25 is just not feasible. It's not going to feel the same. And I think to hold it to that standard isn't fair. Because I can't watch this show with the same childhood naivety that I did when I was 6. I'm older. I'm more critical. I pay more attention than I did when I was a kid, just enjoying the show for the sake of enjoying the show. I'm not going to get that feeling back. And I think that's a problem that a lot of people have. They try to expect to get that feeling back when they're watching the program. And it's not necessarily going to happen. In fact, it's more likely not to happen than it is likely to happen. But this is something new. It's a bit different, but it's also the same. But it's new. And I'm actually looking forward to seeing where the show goes from here. And finally, we have Ncuti. I think Ncuti did a fantastic job as the Doctor. I warmed to him much faster than I did to Jodie or to Peter Capaldi. I never really warmed up to Jodie, so I don't know if that really counts, but I definitely have warmed up to Ncuti faster than I have to other new Doctors since 2005. He's fun, he has personality, he's involved and he's active. I think he's great, and not a massive fan of his Sonic. You know, but I don't think a lot of people are fans of a Sonic. It looks more like a remote control than anything else. But, you know, the other ones didn't really look like Sonic They didn't actually look like screwdrivers, but they looked more like a screwdriver than this one does. This one looks like a remote. But, you know, we can't have everything. It's personal opinion, and that's okay. Ncuti says he loves his Sonic screwdriver, and that's all that matters. You know, he's the one who's going to be using it. I wasn't going to vibe with everything, and that's okay. But I love Ncuti in the role, and I'm really, really, really looking forward to seeing where he goes in the role and where the show goes from here. And I will be tuning in. But May? What happened to Easter releases? I have to wait 5 months, you sons of bitch. Anyway, what did you think? Let me know what you thought of the Church on Ruby Road down below. Like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell button. You have to hit the bell button or something, don't you? I don't know. Hit what you have to hit. Do what you gotta do. Check out my book if you want. It's in the description down below. It's a Kindle exclusive. It's Kindle Unlimited free. It's free on Kindle Unlimited if you have Kindle Unlimited. Don't do any of that if you don't want to. I don't want you there if you don't want to be there. And remember, you always gotta give the new Doctor a shot. And that's what I did. And I'm glad that I did. Because a lot of people just go, I don't like the look of them. They're not my Doctor. Done. You gotta give them a chance. And I did. And I'm really glad that I did. Because I'm looking forward to the future. I'm looking forward to the next series of Doctor Who for the first time since probably 2012. More than 10 years ago. Wow. That's a bit amazing to say. But I'll see you later, guys, okay? Bye-bye. How could I have forgotten to say Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year? My brain is just not working right now. We are like in the between period between Christmas and New Year's where you don't know what date it is and everything is just so confusing. But Merry Christmas, guys, and a Happy New Year. I hope you achieve everything that you want to achieve in 2024. I hope you achieved everything you wanted to achieve in 2023. And even if you didn't, that's okay. We've got time. Okay? So I'll see you next year, guys. Bye-bye.